Thank you for choosing CalISO Corporation for your training needs. This short video clip is presented to provide you with an overview of the new requirements of ISO 14001-2015. The structure and some terminology have been changed to improve alignment with other management system standards. The structure has been changed to align with the common 10-clause high-level structure developed by ISO to ensure harmonization among its many management system standards. It is not the intent of ISO 14001-2015 to imply the need for uniformity in structure. Application of ISO 14001-2015 will differ from one organization to another due to the context of the organization. Therefore, the level of detail and complexity of the environmental management system will vary. There is no requirement to use the terms used in the standard. Rather, the company can use terms that are applicable to their specific organization. The requirement of plan, do, check, act. Plan. Plan what you want to do or your environmental objectives and how you want to do it, the processes. Do. Do whatever was planned. Check. Did things go as planned? And finally, act. How can you improve on what just occurred? Take actions to continually improve the process or the outcome. All ISO management system standards are now required to adopt this structure. Now let's just discuss a few keywords. Appropriate versus applicable. The two words are not interchangeable. Appropriate means suitable and implies some degree of freedom, while applicable means relevant or possible to apply and implies that if it can be done, it needs to be done. Consider versus take into account. The word consider means it is necessary to think about the topic, but it can be excluded, whereas take into account means it is necessary to think about the topic, but it cannot be excluded. Continual versus continuous. Continual indicates duration that occurs over a period of time, but with intervals of interruption. Continuous indicates duration without interruption. Therefore, continual is the appropriate word to use when referring to improvement. Documented information versus documents and records. Documented information replaces the nouns documentation, documents, and records used in previous editions. To distinguish the intent of the generic term documented information, ISO 14001-2015 now uses the phrase retain documented information as evidence to mean records, and maintain documented information to mean documentation other than records, for example, a procedure. ISO 14001-2015 will provide a framework to protect the environment and respond to changing environmental conditions in balance with socioeconomic needs. It can be implemented in whole or in part to systematically improve environmental management. However, claims of conformity cannot be made unless all requirements are implemented and fulfilled without exclusion. This third edition cancels and replaces the second edition, which was ISO 14001-2004. Now let's discuss the changes. What is meant by the context of the organization? It is a high-level understanding of issues, both internal and external, that affect either positively or negatively the way the organization manages its environmental responsibilities. The organization should have a high-level understanding of the expressed needs and expectations of those internal and external interested parties that have been determined to be relevant. The scope of the environmental management system is intended to clarify the physical and organizational boundaries to which the environmental management system applies. The scope should not be used to exclude activities, products, services, or facilities that have significant environmental aspects or to evade compliance obligations. The organization has authority and accountability to decide how to fulfill the requirements of ISO 14001:2015. As stated earlier, implementation will differ from one organization to another due to the context of the organization. Therefore, the level of detail and complexity of the environmental management system will vary. Management demonstrates leadership and commitment by taking responsibility for ensuring that actions related to the environmental management system are performed. An environmental policy is a set of principles stated as commitments in which top management outline the intentions of the organization to support and enhance its environmental performance. It also enables the organization to set environmental objectives and achieve continual improvement. This is the first reference to documented information. In essence, this section discusses an organizational chart or reporting structure. The intent of planning is to ensure that the organization is able to achieve the intended outcome of its environmental management system, to prevent or reduce undesired effects, and to achieve continual improvement. Environmental aspects can create risks and opportunities associated with adverse environmental impacts, beneficial environmental impacts, and other effects on the organization. There are two types of environmental aspects. A direct environmental aspect is activities over which a company can be expected to have an influence and control, for example, emissions. Or indirect environmental aspect is actual or potential activities over which the organization can be expected to have an influence on but no control over. For example, supply chains, customer-controlled aspects, aspects managed elsewhere within the same company. Compliance obligations can create risks and opportunities, such as failing to comply, which could potentially result in a legal action, not a good result, or performing beyond its compliance obligations, which could enhance the company's reputation. That's a good thing. The organization shall maintain documented information of its compliance obligations. The organization plans at a high level the actions that have to be taken within the environmental management system to address its significant environmental aspects, its compliance obligations, and the risks and opportunities that are a priority for the organization to achieve the intended outcome of its environmental management system. Environmental objectives need to be established at various levels of the organization. They need to be communicated to the person who has the ability to influence the achievement of the objectives, and they should be consistent with the environmental policy. A few examples of environmental objectives are: minimize raw material usage, use recycled products where feasible, and safeguard the environment for future generations. When planning how to achieve environmental objectives, the organization has the flexibility to determine what will be done, who will be responsible, what resources are required, and when it will be completed. Top management should ensure that those with environmental management system responsibility are supported with necessary resources. Resources include people, infrastructure, and technology, to name a few. Employees must be competent either by education, training, or experience. The organization shall retain appropriate documented information as evidence of competence. Things like resumes and training certificates are acceptable forms of records. Employees must be aware of the environmental policy as well as their role in achieving the commitment made in them. The organization shall determine the way it will communicate and what will be communicated internally and externally. Communication allows the organization to provide and obtain information relevant to its environmental management system, including compliance obligations and recommendations for continual improvement. The organization shall retain documented information as evidence of its communications as appropriate. We have intentionally skipped sections 7.5 through 9.2 as these requirements are more operational and unnecessary in an overview discussion. For the full explanation of the requirements, please see ISO 14001-2015 online video training. Management reviews should be a high-level review of the organization's environmental management system. The review topics do not need to be addressed all at once, but can rather be spread out over a period of time and can be part of regularly scheduled management activities, such as board meetings or operational meetings. The organization shall retain documented information as evidence of the results of management review. The organization should consider the results from analysis and evaluation of environmental performance, evaluation of compliance, internal audits, and management review when taking actions to improve. When a non-conformance occurs, the organization should react and, as applicable, take action to control it, evaluate the need for action, implement any action needed, review the effectiveness, and make changes to the environmental management system if necessary. If the nonconformance require corrective action, the corrective action shall be appropriate to the potential effects of the nonconformance. The organization shall continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the environmental management system to enhance environmental performance. Thank you for viewing this video. We hope that it has been helpful in providing you an understanding of the requirements of ISO 14001-2015. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.